All right, Front Doors Gamer, hey, welcome day 2, Shanghai 6. We're here with
Walt Williams, lead writer on Spec Ops The Line.
Okay, we got to talk about this game. First off, this game's been in development hell for what, 16 years or something like that right now?
Not that long. It's been three
or so. But I've seen this in a couple PAXs, a couple E3s. Then it kind of disappeared for a while, came back with a fresh coat of paint, and wow, that promo reel that you have going out there. Were you a part of that at all?
Yes, of course. We're all a part of it.
All right. Talk to me about first off, talk to me about the promo.
Well, what you're seeing in the promo is we're trying to give a sense of the type of story that people are going to expect, along with the action of this game. With Spec Ops, we're looking to bring something to the military shooter genre that people haven't seen yet, something that's a bit darker, more emotionally real to combat. We want right now the genre. There are good games out there, but they kind of just stop at the action summer blockbuster level. Right. War is, as they say, war is hell. We've seen it expressed in some of our most classic films, Apocalypse Now, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket. We were ready to do that and bring that to the military shooter genre, which is what we've done here with Spec Ops The Line. And by seeing that in that promo, you're seeing the characters, Captain Walker, Sergeant Lugo, Lieutenant Adams, as they're going into Dubai, as they're finding themselves at arms against their fellow brothers in arms, the damn 33rd and Colonel Conrad, and finding out really what's going on in Dubai when they find it completely at war between the refugees and the American soldiers.
Oh, so there were refugees involved. I just thought they were rogue American soldiers.
No. What's happened is Dubai has been completely devastated by these cataclysmic sandstorms, and Conrad and the 33rd were in the city trying to evacuate the people that had been left behind when the biggest storm hits it, and everyone presumes they're dead. 6 months later, we hear a distress signal that's kind of chopped up, comes out of the city, and they think maybe there's still people alive. So they send you in, Captain Walker, with your squad to just look around, see if there's still survivors. And if there are, leave the city, call in for an evacuation team. But rather than do that, once they find that the city is full of survivors and they're fighting each other, they decide to go in further and try and help the 33rd, see if they can find Conrad and get these people out. And instead, they just end up getting caught up in the madness and the fighting and get sucked right into the middle of it.
Okay, now I've noticed there's a lot. It seems like it's going to go down a morality path. Is there any kind of choices towards the end? Is there anything that the player can do to change the outcome of the situation, like side with the refugees or the 33rd?
There are choices. There are no faction choices here. What this is, Spec Ops is a story about just what happens to good people when you put them into an increasingly bad situation. What are you willing to sacrifice, whether it be to complete a mission or to save other people's lives or even just to save your life? And these are the kind of choices that the player is going to find themselves in. We wanted to do something different from moral choices in games. It's not a systemic thing where hit A for good, B for bad. If I hit A, I get a new gun. If I hit B, the refugees like me more. Our choices come out, they're organic, out of the narrative. They're more about what am I comfortable doing? And some choices, maybe you're able to watch a scene and kind of decide, okay, I think this will happen if I do this. I think the consequences will be this if I do that. How do I want to insert myself into it? And then having the player be able to do so and then live and face with the consequences. Sometimes they come at you fast and furious in the middle of combat. You may not even know you're in a choice until you've reacted and you have the consequences in front of you. Maybe you're like, no, I didn't want to do that. But you can't go back. We're trying to make our choices very realistic in that sense. If the player could just die and reboot at the beginning of the choice, then he's not going on the same emotional journey as his characters, because that's what Captain Walker and his squad are having to face, is these horrors of war. Then ultimately, if they're going to be able to complete their mission, if they're going to be able to save these people, they have to accept what has happened and keep going, even though it breaks them down a little bit each time they come to face with these things.
Yeah, I mean, they show up, things are normal. Like for them, it's just another day in the park. Hey, nobody's here, this looks great. We'll just head in, head out. I'm sure by the end of the game, they're starting to fall apart.
Oh, absolutely. You could argue these aren't even the same people that they were at the beginning as they were at the end. At the beginning, you come in, they're joking, they're having a good time. These are friends because they think this is an easy mission. They're just on the clock. But as soon as things really start happening, we pull that rung underneath both them and the players. They begin to change. All three of them go on completely different paths. By the end, they're barely even a squad. They've become so fractured and so just distant from each other. You could really say that the sandstorm, much like it did to Dubai, has just stripped them down to who they are at the just core level. And they're left as three individuals. They're not even soldiers. They're just men trying to survive.
Well, I'll tell you what, playing through the demo, feels very Gears of War, but I'll tell you what, I have a very distinct feeling that this game is going to live and die off of its story, and people talking about just the crazy stuff. Like between that demo reel you got going on there, the demo, I really think you have something here, and I think that you, as one of the lead writers, could really change the face of modern military shooters. Because if you really are able to pull off that, because it feels very raw, very emotional, and if you can pull that off, you might change how things are done.
That's what we're trying. Honestly, when we were at the beginning of Spec Ops, we said, what is the game? What's the military shooter out there that we want to play that we can't play because it's not out there, because no one's making that game yet? And that's what Spec Ops is. And as creators, we're a good barometer for when you look at that question, because we are also gamers. And except we just have the power to make those games that we want to see. And if we're looking for that game, we believe that the audience is out there for that game. The gamers are waiting for a military shooter that takes them somewhere a bit darker, a bit deeper. We're not trying to be a Call of Duty killer. We're not trying to not. They are good for what they do. People play that game because they are fun, because they are well made. We're looking to add something to the genre that stands beside it. You can have that day where you play Call of Duty, but there's going to be that day where you want to know more about the people that you're fighting. You're going to want to go into something that's more personal, that's not a global conflict against a made-up enemy. And that's what Spec Ops is about. It's about letting us step into the shoes of someone and experience something that we may never experience in our own lives, and think a bit more about when we pull the trigger on that controller and that character pulls the trigger in the world.
Well, it looks great. I think you really got something here. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
When does it ship?
It ships June 26 on PlayStation 3, 360, and PC.
Outstanding. DLC plans?
We have plans. I just can't tell you what they are.
Understood.
You know
All
how
right,
it goes.
Walt, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Have a great show.
You too.
Shanghai 6 out.